Welcome to Conspi-Reality, your ultimate escape into the world of Bravo reality TV and the wildest conspiracy theories around. Get ready to pop open the champagne and unravel the mysteries as we discuss it all. We're your co-hosts, Lauren Shukla and Jessica Rangel. We're high school
Jessica,
besties
hello.
turned reality
Hi,
TV aficionados.
How are you doing?
Together,
Good.
we're here to dish
It's a
out the
Monday,
gossip
not as
and
fun
tackle
as
the most
last time we
mind-bending
recorded on
theories,
Friday.
all with
Never
a
is
dash of
fun,
humor.
never is fun.
And
This
it's
one's for
raining.
you, Craig
But
Conover.
we still have a lot to
Let's
get
get
into
into
tonight.
it.
Oh my gosh. So much.
Summer House, Vanderpump, Valley.
Vanderpump finale.
Oh my gosh.
Was last week.
It's all happening. What do you want to start with?
Okay, Sheena. The tattoo. Let's just keep going chronological. Vanderpump. And I
Vanderpump.
still like it the least, so let's just get it over with. It was still San Francisco. Kyle Chan's whiskey party.
Oh, right.
Literally still thought it was a jewelry thing until I realized it was a whiskey party when they were there. It felt, I've seen a lot of reactions to the ending of like the breaking the fourth wall. I think it's just started happening on so many of these shows. This isn't groundbreaking to me anymore when they do that or when they talk about, we were just saying last week about Summer House, like breaking the fourth wall of Carl being like, she's gonna see this. Like we see it on all these shows now that whole, and what they thought was like gonna be some hot mic moment with Sandoval, I don't think that was that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaway for me, well, a couple things. One is everyone was really hoping that Dan's conversation with Tom Sandoval was going to create like rockets.
Yeah.
And I felt like the anxiety was palpable. Like even seeing an ex, you're like, your heart hits your stomach.
Yeah.
And Ariana was conveniently texting on her phone during that. So you could tell there was anxiety, but I think that was clunker number one, that
Yeah,
there was
it-
nothing.
It turned into nothing.
Yeah, even though Dan suggested that he was going to, be really rude to Sandoval. And then clunker number two was clearly the moment when Sheena tries to force fit the conversation between Ariana and Tom, and Ariana walks off. So I think culturally, everyone is split, like between, are you team Ariana on this or not?
Yeah.
What are you?
I totally understand her piece about like, I'm not going to be part of his redemption arc. So she was like, I'm not having any more conversations with him. But then I like died laughing when she made the comment, he is out of my life. I'm like, you share a fucking house. Stop acting like you have she's acting like she's moved across country and cut ties and never wants to see this man again. And someone's like flying him in and trying to like make it happen. It's like, you still live together. You signed on to be on a show that you also knew he was still going to be on. I get having those boundaries and stuff, and I did hear someone say that the producers in past interviews all throughout Vanderpump, like filming over the years, have said Ariana is the hardest to produce because she won't give them what they want.
Interesting.
So she like sets these boundaries. Like this isn't new to this season. She's always been like that, where it's like, no, I'm not having that confrontation for you. She won't play into what the producers wears. Sheena and Lala are being fed their script, and they're like, okay, I'll do it, whatever you need.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not Team Ariana, which I know is the wrong side to be on, I think, for life. But I was trying to think like why, and this is what I can equate it to. When you're around a wedding and you're in the wedding and you're trying to help the bride, and then there becomes that moment where you can't explain it, but you've just had enough of the bride. Ariana she was supposed to be the star of this season, I've heard.
Yeah.
And I think the cast really needs this show to survive. Sheena does, Lala does, and probably Schwartz to a certain extent, Katie, right?
What the hell is Katie doing other than the
And
sandwich?
I've heard Lala say that this was supposed to be Ariana's season, so to walk off the set was kind of like a big deal to them that it was not going to land the season. And you kind of sat there catering to the bride the entire season. Yeah. And then the wedding finally happens. And she kind of...
And then the bride runs away.
And then you're sitting there and you're like, well, great. I'm done.
Yeah. Why did I get my hair and makeup done?
Yes. Why did I pay for that? Yeah. So that's what I can chalk it up to. Now, I heard that the producers were mad at Ariana too. So think of that whole scene. Ariana and Tom supposed to talk. Producers are mad at Ariana. They're trying to get her to stay. They're riling up the cast in the background. Yeah. And again, I feel like Lala and Sheena are so easily manipulated that they lose their minds and look horrible doing it. I mean, the world literally hates Lala.
I know, yeah.
She's super hypocritical the entire season.
Super hypocritical, and yeah, I mean, like the jealousy is so evident that she was like, why the hell was no one rallying behind me?
Right.
And where were my endorsement deals when Randall did this. And it was like, because no one liked you and Randall as a couple to begin with.
Right. It was shady.
Like, Tom and Ariana were 10 years in. Yes, they had their ups and downs, but they were a pretty solid couple for the majority of Vanderpump, where you're then watching just train wrecks all around. But they were kind of the consistent couple. So it's like, well, we weren't like behind you when he was married and you got together and then so that's why you didn't get the same reaction.
Well, the other thing I would say is it kind of dawned on me, you know who we really were missing this season, which was the voice of reason and someone you actually rooted for, was Stassi. Like a Stassi would have been perfect for the season, because Lala is trying to call out the hypocrisy of Ariana, but Lala herself is a hypocrite. Yeah. So it's hard to follow. Sheena's wishy-washy. It's like, where is Stassi Schroeder when you need her? Call that out, cleverly do it, and really land the plane on some of this stuff.
I miss Stassi. I think she is so done. Like, I don't think she'll ever show her face again.
No. So I thought Katie had some good quotes this episode. One being that she doesn't want peace. Do you remember when Joe sat down and was trying to create an apology with Katie, and Katie said, "I don't want peace."
Stop.
I plan on using that in my life.
Okay. I want to cause havoc. What I still do not understand, I feel like I've heard snippets and like little bits and pieces that I know Joe was originally Kristen Doty's friend. That's how she kind of got into the group. And then this whole weaseled in, asked to cut Tom's hair, blah, blah. But how close actually was she ever to Katie? Because I feel like Katie's reaction is so overblown to my understanding of what Joe and Katie were before Joe moved in with Schwartz. I get you're never going to like the first woman or whatever, especially an ex-husband, like even more serious than just an ex-boyfriend or whatever, but you're never going to love who they like move on in if they move on quickly with. But I don't understand Katie's like intense hatred. Did she think her and Tom were maybe going to rekindle and like Joe put like the kibosh on that because she was so quickly in the pic? I don't know. And I know the whole like Joe sending her a message saying, "I'm so sorry about your divorce," and then while she's like trying to get with your very recent ex-husband, weird. I agree, not great. But I don't understand Katie's.
Well, I think
it's the only thing that gets her riled up. Like,
is Joe.
She doesn't give a flip about anything else, but that Joe can get under her skin.
Well, I think Katie and Ariana are really taking the like, we're going to set boundaries this season, which I don't know if you can do that on a reality TV show. Kyle Richards is trying to do that with her relationship with Morgan, the country music singer, and the producers are saying, nope, you got to talk about it this season.
Setting boundaries equals not sharing parts of your life. Right. So I agree. It's
and Dorit and PK, we're seeing that she's being pressured to talk about that split now on camera.
Which
I don't think
they've finally gone public.
Right. That they're splitting. Right.
They're
I just don't think you can be a reality TV star and really have, you know, hard, fast boundaries that you refuse to do things because that's the game. That's not reality TV. So I did agree with Katie when she was saying, you know, why are we trying to make this Sandoval situation so nuanced?
Which I think she's something like, if the guy fucks over your friend, then fuck the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how we all
simplify it.
Right,
yeah,
right.
True.
Which I agreed with that, and it kind of puts everything in perspective of like, yeah, that's how it should be. But again, I think they were just also worried that the season was going to be their crash and burn season, that they were counting on Ariana to try and, you know.
Yeah. Have you seen the rumors that people think Sheena and Sandoval have hooked up?
Oh, really?
And that there's more to her friendship with him, and that, I don't know. I don't think I believe that. That feels so disgusting and slimy too, with how much. But it would explain a little bit more of Sheena's like, she cannot let Sandoval go. Like, I wonder if she's in love with him.
I was trying to think if, like, I've never had a friend where the significant other was as good of a friend to me as the person that they break up with.
I was thinking that too. And I was like, you know what? That's because I think you and I are like girls. I tell my husband all the time, you're really lucky. I don't really have guy friends.
Right.
Sheena has lists of guy friends.
Right.
Like, Brock is clearly very cool. Like, the Max. Sheena was texting Max, make sure you get home okay. That whole, like, when Katie and him hooked up, that, like, quick storyline we had earlier. But I was just like, Sheena is a married woman, and she is texting all these, like young-ish single men in LA. Brock's clearly very cool about that. I mean, she, like, has all these guy friends.
Right. we'll just never really know what's going on with that, or why she's so kind of hell-bent on she's giving Sandoval a redemption arc, and it's like, why? Anyway, and then, so what did you think about the guy who was in the VIP section and then throws the bottle?
Well, it's going to blow your mind. That was edited out of the episode. That was only on the extended Peacock.
Oh my God.
I didn't see it. The episode ended and I was like, I've been gypped. Where is this guy that like was throwing stuff that they showed? They edited that out.
Yeah.
Like the finale was not that exciting with like Ariana walking off.
Well, he was truly just a drunk, for those who didn't watch
nobody.
it. Yeah, he was truly a drunk person who thought, let me get myself into VIP. This will be an epic night. I can say I partied with the Vanderpump cast. Mm-hmm. And James actually was the one that was like, get him out of here as a starting point. And then Brock swoops in Brock way. And then obviously the guy loses his mind and tries to throw stuff, and security then steps in. But it was such an odd, such an odd scenario to let the man get as far as what he did while they're filming.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't security stop him? I don't know.
Where was the police escort they had all around San Francisco that wasn't guarding the VIP area?
It just felt like the producers were so hungry to make sure this was good that they were allowing variables to take place.
Maybe an unsafe situation
and
to go
forcing
down.
conversations. Like, it was...
They were drumming it up and it all didn't really work.
Yeah, and clearly they tried to make Ariana look horrible this season.
Yeah.
And it completely backfired on them. It's just, it's crazy to me, the whole entire season. I mean, I felt like we were watching a reality TV show about how to how to produce a reality TV show. I thought it was way too meta at this point.
Step-by-step guide. Like an underwhelming finale. The fact I don't have like a more... the ending.
The ending. What did you think about that?
Made me cry.
It made you cry? Jessica.
You weren't like moved by it? All their first confessional looks?
This is the producer's way of saying we're done.
Well, right. I thought that, and that's what made me cry.
It also made Sheena cry, by the way. I listened to her podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, this can't be it. This can't be the end of us.
Well, how sad is it that I cried and Sheena did, but she's actually a part of this. I had the feeling like it was like graduation. Like I was thinking of like Vanderpump of yesteryears and how amazing the show has been and like how long in my own life I've watched the show. And it made me so sad to be like, it's the end of an era if the show is over.
Mm-hmm. And the narration done by Lala, it's like anybody but Lala that would have landed. But she sits there and says, you have to be honest on the show. And Ariana and Tom weren't, but I wasn't either. And it's
I wasn't
that.
either.
Come on. Like, have Sheena do it. Have James do it. Like, anybody else that would have landed. But
at least Sheena, because Sheena's been there from day one. Lala came in a little bit later.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I agree. It should not have been Lala with that voiceover. But also, biggest takeaway, young Schwartz. I don't remember him being that hot. Like, I see why he was modeling back then.
Right,
I forgot how attractive he was.
Yeah.
As a youngin.
So I was listening to Sheena's podcast, which always gives extra juice. And so she's worried that they're canceling it based off that ending. We talked about this last time, but they are on pause. And she is... she's hoping it's for the good. She's hoping they switch where it's being filmed. So instead of the summertime and it's the same birthdays over and over again, they let life happen and they'll get them in the fall, moving into winter, moving into spring. So she's hoping for that. Oh, she's not friends with Ariana or Sandoval anymore.
Whoa. So she lost both in the process.
She lost both.
Trying to like ride the fence between the two, and now she's neither.
But she is good friends with Lala still good friends with Janet, still good friends with Brittany. So, again, the theory of Lala and Sheena moving to Valley.
Did Sheena speak to that, or she's not even touching?
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
She totally
brought up the Valley piece?
Because her podcast, one of the hosts kept saying, well, what if they just meshed everybody together, Vanderpump and Valley? And she said, I would do the Valley, Lala would do the Valley. Like, she's already putting out those nuggets that they're ready.
Vander Valley?
Yeah, they're ready
Pump
to jump.
Valley?
They're ready to jump.
We can make it happen.
Yeah.
But, okay, I initially was so on board with Sheena and Lala moving over. I was like, yeah, natural fit. It makes sense. They literally have houses now in the Valley. They really do know those people. But then, I don't even know who to credit, but somebody out in the Bravo world made the comment that they go, yes, you've got Jax, you've got Kristen, and you've got Brittany, who are seasoned reality people. But they're like, for the most part, the Valley are such newbies that have no idea what they're doing, and that is the beauty of it. Like, they're all putting it out there. They don't know, they're not even aware enough to be like, I can't, or I'm setting a boundary. Like, they don't even know to do it. They just think they have to talk and do everything on camera. And I was like, you know what? I think it would really change the dynamic to bring in Lala and Sheena, who are been around the block with reality TV, and like we said, are so overly produced at the moment.
Right.
So I don't know if I want it anymore. I've
Mixing
really
in.
changed.
Yeah. Okay, so I watched the Vanderpump after show. Notable nuggets there. Brittany seems to not be on Ariana's side, which Brittany is a sweetheart.
Ooh.
Which again leads me to believe that there's more to this Ariana thing than just
something went down.
like, oh, I don't want to film with my ex. And Lala said that everyone hates Ariana but off camera, which is a very Lala comment to say. I mean, who
Everyone hates her off camera.
like hates on her off
Oh,
camera,
hates on her,
but doesn't
okay.
want to say it on camera because they know that
'Cause
culturally,
she's the princess.
Yeah, the U.S.
Yeah.
is on the side of her.
The U.S. Well, you might get your wish, because I also heard she took Vanderpump off her Insta bio line, so she might be donezo herself.
And I also heard she renewed another round with Chicago.
Yes, she's having
that
another.
contract.
Yeah, she's got Love Island. Those endorsement deals don't seem to be ending. Like, I
Yeah.
think she's really just going to move into a totally like different showbiz career.
Right. Yeah.
Hosting,
Well, good.
live
Good for her.
theater. What is that? What
Because
Chicago
Lord
is?
knows I'm done watching her on TV. So,
Yes.
anything else on Vanderpump?
No, but as a segue, Watch What Happens Live this week was Sandoval and Jax to do the combo, kind of Vanderpump Valley. Guess who the two bartenders were?
Who?
Jax and Brittany's plastic surgeons.
Oh my God.
They were never asked about Brittany's jaw. I was waiting if there was going to be a question for them. They only spoke about Jax's like 6 nose jobs. And then Jax also like smartly defended. He goes, and I want to just say, I followed none of their instructions. That's why I needed to keep having them. I was like, good point. Who wants to go to someone who had to have it redone like 3
Right.
times?
Thank God he said that. He is
But
smart.
I was like, these plastic surgeons, shocked they're willing to show their face after the work they did on Brittany.
Which it looks better now. I mean, let's just
Oh,
say
yes. It
it's
was just,
healed.
I guess, a long healing process.
Right. So now we're moving into the Valley. Still great. Still
Yeah.
love it. Still better than Vanderpump.
I know.
I
Because
mean,
again, they're all newbies and it's just more natural. They're not so produced.
Right. So we start with Kristen and Jasmine at Wine, which, you know, it leads to nowhere really. Other than Kristen, to me, is really the villain of the season, and people are gripping onto that storyline. Like no talk of Janet, no talk of her role, no talk of Michelle and the fact that she's
Right.
blatantly cheating on people. But everyone is gripped to make sure that Kristen is the villain, including Jasmine, who I had higher hopes for.
And it like the game of telephone is just mind-boggling to me with these. It's like, and Kristen is horrible at defending herself. Like, she's never crystal clear on like why you shouldn't be mad at me, because like she never gets that out.
Right. So I heard on a podcast, Janet said that some of the Kristen scenes were so stressful while she was pregnant that she called her doctor the next day and said, my stomach felt weird. And her doctor actually said, that was a contraction you were having during that. What were you doing during that time period? You were having a contraction. And so Janet, and I don't know if this is real or not, but retroactively is now saying that the Kristen scenes were so chaotic and bad that she was
Okay.
having
It was for
contractions.
her health.
And of course, she would never put her own baby's health
Yeah.
over or under the show, right? She would never put the show above it. And so by default, she said, I had to stop filming with Kristen because she caused so much stress that I could feel it in my pregnancy. Now that is valid,
Okay.
but it seems like you would have said that kind of on camera. Like you would have kind of said, listen, Kristen's so chaotic. I'm actually having some health problems.
Right.
And we would have been like, oh, got it. We totally
that's
get
so
it.
true.
But
If
now
that-
she's retroactively saying it. That feels a little more conniving. Like,
I don't trust anything Janet says.
I know.
I do not believe her with
She's-
anything. So yeah, I think this is a very convenient cover up. Months later that she's come up with.
well, Zach even says in his confessional, right, that Janet is conniving, and the only way she gets
And
away
then
with
she's
it
getting away with it.
because she's pregnant, right?
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
she won't be for season 2 if they start filming soon.
also, I heard that Zach and Janet did not speak for 2 years leading up to the show.
Oh.
which I don't know why, but that's how much animosity those two have had against each other in the past.
This group is just so messy.
So messy. I love it. I love it all.
What did you think of that like newlywed game that they played at
I
Hibachi?
thought that was forced. I mean, I don't need to see that anymore in life.
I think that game is dangerous. I mean, who would you want to like have like basically in a threesome? I'm like, that is only going to start
drama.
Yeah, Nia and Danny obviously knew. They're like, no one. Who's the better catch? And they each said the other one. Like it's Nia obviously is the better catch.
Right. I just think it's like one of those producer things that they kind of suggest you should play just to make sure if the season needs it, there's a little more drama thrown in.
A little more fluff thrown in there.
But speaking of that hibachi dinner, so relatable when Brittany takes the shot and it makes her sick. I feel like I've been there. I'm like,
okay, one shot, no way.
No, but when it hits you wrong, don't you remember back to the college days and you'd be like, you'd take the shot of like whiskey, let's say, and it would hit you wrong and you'd be sitting there, you're like, this is going to come back up. Like, this isn't good.
I know. And then you take care of it and you rally. But I get it. Brittany is much older. That would be my mantra back in the college days. Just deal with it and you're still going to party.
I mean, and Jax is obviously all over her.
Yes, I was going to say the producers miss no opportunity to show Jax being an asshole.
Right.
And he's like, well, then you shouldn't be drinking.
I know. And she's like kind of crying sitting there. I felt horrible for her.
And then someone else had a good comment I saw on like Twitter or whatever. They're like, okay, fine, I get it. And then, and by the way, Jax spoke to that a little bit. He got asked about it on Watch What Happens Live. And he did say, again, not articulated, but do you remember back on Vanderpump, Brittany was told she had that like stomach lining issue and that she should not have tequila shots or something about shots were just so harsh on her like GI tract, whatever. So she has been told to avoid that. So what he said on the Watch What Happens Live was like, she knows it upsets her. So he goes, I'm so frustrated when she does it because she knows it's going to bother her. And then she had to leave and it made it like a thing. So he's like, in my mind, I'm just like, don't do the shot. Like, you know, it's bad for you. And you've literally been told by a doctor to like, stop doing this. So that made a little more sense to me. Of course, it just looked like he was being an a-hole.
Moving from hibachi food into Kristen's James May t-shirt line. I have a lot of thoughts about that t-shirt line.
Yeah.
First of all, she should really do a class of how to make money. Is that her sole income?
I was wondering the same because I was like, what else? I mean, I guess she also has a podcast.
She's on the show.
Like us.
Yeah. Like equivalent to ours.
But how many years has she not been on a TV show? So how has she sustained... I agree. I was like, is this her full-time gig?
Right.
But then she made those comments about, I made some not smart business decisions with this company. And she felt the need for like, and I was just like, I could see her being like so naively like signing up to stuff for the company and it just like totally lost her money or she got like sued for like trademark infringement because she's just posting things on shirts and someone's like, that's like not your slogan or whatever.
Right.
I could see her doing that.
I mean, I really thought it was endearing the way that Zach kind of stepped up for her, but James May, those shirts are not cute. No. There's not one thing I saw that I was like, oh, that's.
And did you see the
future.
Brittany's wearing one, and she's like, well, this isn't the most flattering shirt for a bit like large-chested woman. Like they're literally dissing the product as they're wearing it at the party. But that also made me wonder: is Zach like in the like party planning when he was kind of like I spent my whole afternoon, and he clearly seemed to be like directing people. Like it kind of seemed like that was his jam. And then it made me be like, I actually have no idea what Zach does. I have no idea what Jasmine does.
I think he's social media. So I think that's why that scene was so endearing for me was because I think Zach was truly trying to wrangle and get Kristen's like act together.
Yeah.
You know, while she's like going off to lay on the cement and he's like sweating.
When the entire rack of shirts fell, like it looked like over a cliff off the side of the house from like the wind, I was like, wow, this is going really well. It was so like, and she's relaunching and still failing.
Oh my God, I love Kristen.
That party, yeah, that was pretty funny. But then there were a few bits of a few scenes with Michelle and Jesse. Oh my God, when he was packing for his little retreat and she said, I hope you change your personality. I was like, wow, harsh.
How do you come back from that?
And he even was like taken aback, like, oh, okay, you just need me to change my whole personality, no problem. And I actually felt for him. I think, again, I know we said male sympathizer, and I do think Jesse has a ton of asshole tendencies. But with this stuff with the marriage and all of his like testimonial confessionals, I like, my heart is going out for him because it does seem like he really wants it to work. And he kind of was like, I will do anything. Mm-hmm. And then for her to be like, well, I just need you to change your personality.
I just think that ayahuasca, I'm not going to say it right.
Ayahuasca, yeah.
Ayahuasca is such an LA cop-out. Like, it's like when Tom and Tom took their acid to think of their restaurant ideas.
For the restaurant,
like, just give me an excuse to do a drug, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's just like such an LA thing. And hopefully I'll come back a changed personality. Like, that's not what she wants. And he kind of tries to make it seem like I'm doing it for her. And so
he wants to have the best trip of his life.
Yeah, he wants to be on drugs and be able to come back and say, I did that for you. I thought that was a cop-out.
Well, let's see next episode if he's so different.
Well, will there be cameras there? Is my question. Like,
I highly doubt.
I mean, he's brought it up now 2 episodes. He talked about it last time. Now he's talking about this.
Yeah.
Like, we should get a little taste of it. Maybe we'll do like an iPhone. You know how sometimes
they film
housewives
themselves.
will like film themselves with their iPhone.
Like, I'm in my tent.
Okay, so now we move into the bar storyline a little bit. Jax is pushing to get it open. Brittany says it's not ready. They go and look around. It looks horrible. I mean,
no progress has been made. I don't know if they're continuously showing us the original clip or if literally nothing has changed.
I mean, it's one of those things that I've heard. Not only is he on the back end of the sidebar, I think it's called Roscoe's, but I think maybe you said this, but he's also using their food. Like, he's not actually coming up with new food. He's just literally hanging on.
He tacked his name onto like a back patio
of
an existing establishment. It's so strange. Does it even have an outdoor bar? Like, is there even, like, are they attributing sales from that outdoor bar to him? I don't even know how they're judging, like, how it's doing. And did you notice, I don't know if it was this episode or previously, there were a few comments about Brittany being the breadwinner for a few years.
Well, I think it was that Jenny Craig.
That one deal, just...
I mean...
Does she have to give the money back if it, like...
If there was no progress made? I think there was
progress. They got their photos.
Yeah, was progress made, the before and after, and then she stopped it, I think, once she kind of hit that point. And then I've heard she's gone back round 2, round 3 with them.
Okay. Well, now she's single. She's got to
now she's...
get back out there.
Yeah, got to get back out there. So, I mean, I don't doubt it. I mean, she's made it very clear, like, when he says, like, I paid for this house, and she's like, I paid for half of it, you know? Yeah. It's like, good job, Brittany.
He makes these sweeping statements that we then find out are just completely false. Like, again, I don't believe anything that comes out of Jax's mouth.
I don't need Janet to be the star of the show.
Yeah,
like, calling
it does
the shots.
Feel like they're kind of taking her lead. Yeah, oh God, I hadn't even put that together. It seems like that's the direction, even though, like, it should be Brittany or Kristen. But Kristen's too psycho, so it should be Brittany, a little bit more reasonable human to be the leader.
So she doesn't invite Kristen on the baby moon, which is clearly going to happen.
Please tell me why, when they were prepping to go to the James May event, Jax was like, I have to tell Kristen there. I have to tell her. I was like, I'm not computing why Jax has to be the one that tells Kristen she's not invited.
Right.
It was like, maybe the producer sent out a text and said, who wants to tell Kristen at the event? And he's like, me.
He's like, I'll do it.
I was like, why?
It's that OG reality TV mindset. They know what they have to do. Kristen and Jax know what they have to do. Yeah. They have to go in. They have to say the thing that needs to get them to the next series, the next episode. Yeah. Jax standing there on a rock in front of the whole group announcing.
I hate to have to be the one. And I was like, you are loving being the one.
Yeah.
Stop acting
he's not going to let it hopefully get shot off scene. He wants it with him right there at that James May event. And a great job, Jax, because Zach starts crying, which I'm not exactly sure totally why.
No, I actually was like, wait, I feel this. He was bringing up how he felt, he's getting maybe a little annoyed that he's just being lumped in because he is kind of standing by Kristen and he's not saying, I won't film with her or like F her. So he feels lumped into that. But then he's also taking it as like, I'm the only single one here. And I think he's feeling like excluded because it's like, oh, it's this like couples trip. And I was like, ooh, that one hit me.
You've been in that situation?
Yeah, I felt like being single so long when like everyone else was in relationships. And there were times I would like find out after the fact. And it was like, well, it was like a couples thing. It's like, of anyone to be invited, it should be the single person because they're sitting at home doing nothing. I don't care that everyone else there would be in a couple. Like, I know I'm single. It wasn't like reminding me that I was alone. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And like, I think people thought it was like to spare hurting your feelings, but then not being invited is worse.
Right, I agree.
So, okay, maybe I was like extremely emotional last week because I also teared up at that. Each episode made me cry, and I'll tell you the part in Summer House that made me cry too.
Okay, anything else on the Valley?
Well, I don't even remember. Were there previews, or did we just...
I don't
or
see
was
any.
it might have been a to be continued.
Oh, it was to be continued, yeah.
I think it was, with Zach crying, which was not the biggest cliffhanger of the world, but that's where it ended.
I love Zach. He's really growing on me.
Yes, when you said I've come around more, I kind of forgot he was there for the first few episodes, but I like him more now.
Okay, do you want to move into Summer House?
Yes.
Alrighty, so let's see. Summer House starts with, I think they kind
of that.
Yeah, they kind of replay all that again. So Lindsay goes over, I think, and debriefs with Paige, Amanda, and Sierra.
Yes.
Which I'm not understanding that alliance. Like, it's more and more Lindsay, Paige, Amanda, Sierra, and I'm like, you guys hated each other last season.
I literally made notes. I said how different this summer is, that these are the girls she is confiding in after. Danielle and Gabby nowhere to be found, who are like well, I know Danielle, they just rebuilt that relationship, but like Gabby, I think, was to be a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
And like, she's not the one you're talking to.
Not debriefing with. Also, I think after that, Carl kind of yet again goes back. I think it's to Kyle.
Yeah.
And coddling again of Carl. It's like, you need to be a man. This is too much victim mentality.
As we've said, we are really more Team Lindsay this season, and I do think Carl fully thought it was going to be like the opposite. Like everyone was going to see what Lindsay and all this. And I've heard an interesting theory that someone thinks the moment that early on in the summer that they got in those big fights and Lindsay was accusing him of not being sober, that Carl made his decision, was like, I'm not getting married to her. And every moment since then has been him trying to like drop a kind of breadcrumb while making Lindsay look bad. I was like, well, that's like beyond psychotic, but I think there's a very dark side to Carl. And I think we are seeing it more.
Yeah, I agree.
He has a unique way of gaslighting and turning it, and I'm seeing it more. And again, Lindsay reacts horribly, but I would be like so interested to see him in like a long-time relationship with someone very stable and sane, and see how those convos would go with a woman that was like, no.
Yeah, totally agree. And so then they move inside, and the astrological reader comes. What fortune teller? They kept
tarot card.
They kept calling her an astrological reader, I think, and she only did tarot. My biggest thing,
she did the pendulum thing too.
Oh, right, that too, which only moved one way.
And literally her hand was just swinging. It just reminded me of Ouija boards at sleepovers, where clearly everyone's like shaking hand was just pushing it like where it wanted to go.
Moving it. Well, and I feel like my biggest question to her was, did you watch the show?
Oh, I was wondering how much producers fed her before. Like, it was too. And then, as we've said, I mean, I think Gabby's getting the axe. That dinner party and event and that lady were Gabby's friends. We didn't even see Gabby's reading. We saw almost everyone else's. I don't know if we saw West's. There was one or two else, but I'm like, we didn't even see Gabby get read, if that's the right term.
I totally agree. And so we know about Jesse and his, upcoming appointment.
That's what made me cry.
Oh.
At the very end.
Yeah. Okay, so they wake up the next morning, and Carl and Lindsay have, I think, a very relatable fight in the kitchen, which is that Carl is saying,
the pool party.
Yes, that he is thinking about going back to Loverboy on the non-alcoholic line, and Lindsay starts questioning him, which he gets mad at the questioning. First of all, her nipple is out the entire scene there.
Through her mesh swim cover up.
Like, what is up with the nipples being out? Cover it up.
Yeah.
I thought that conversation was relatable, but whose side were you on in that conversation?
Literally, I think they cut to Jesse afterward, and he like perfectly said, I completely see both sides. I don't know whose side. I mean, he needs a job, so I think if I was Lindsay, I'd just be like, thank God, just get something going. Maybe it'll launch you into something else too.
Well, as somebody who likes to think of herself as an entrepreneur and is not, probably will never be, I've had that conversation many times with my husband, where I say, here's my idea for something, and he does what Lindsay does, which is pressure checks my idea. And
then you get all hot and bothered.
And I get mad about it. Yeah. And I'm like, why are you not just supporting this full hands down? I think the pressure check is, you have to be able to survive that.
Yeah.
As if you're coming up with the idea of what you want to do, you have to be able to survive a pressure check from a good friend or partner.
Who knows you well.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can't survive the pressure check, then it's not a real thing in your mind.
No, Kunal's trying to put you on a mini Shark Tank. He's like, Lauren, can you answer these really intense questions I'm going to lob at you?
Right. And I felt like she was pressure checking. You know, we spent the entire season, him fighting Kyle, decoupling from the company, you know, dirty laundry, hanging out. And she fought that battle. And now she's pressure checking. And he can't survive it because he just wants full-blown, you know, support.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is a total cop-out that, like he said, he goes, I know we said Labor Day was like my deadline, and it's like next weekend. So he's like, I've made my decision. I'm going back to my old company.
Well, here's the thing. So now flip side of that, right? So you have Carl and Lindsay. Carl's trying to join Loverboy. Amanda and Kyle. Amanda's trying to leave Loverboy.
Yes.
First of all, let me just say, don't leave that mothership of Kyle Cook too fast because Carl is coming on back, you know?
Yeah.
I think Kyle Cook is like the friend to have because I think he takes people in and he gives them work and he gives them support and all they have to do is just watch him lead. And sometimes I think they can't handle it. But Amanda's now leaving the mothership. She's trying to get off that. What did you think of that conversation? Because that's now the
Yeah, she does. I get what you're saying. And I think I think Kyle cried. Prime example. Like, I hate the, like, tears during a discussion. I think what she was trying to say is, I want to start something that excites me. But she kept being like, I'm not leaving Loverboy. I will still, maybe he deep down knows that she's barely capable of doing one job. Like the fact she thinks she can like start her own and keep up with Loverboy. Maybe he's just being realistic. Like, you're totally going to just drop Loverboy if you do start your own line. But I support that she wants to do her own thing. Can't say I would just ride those coattails.
Can I say one thing though about all the entrepreneurs I know in our lives? People who are not entrepreneurs do not know how to get it started, and they require the entrepreneurs to somewhat help pave the way. And we know a couple of these entrepreneurs. And I feel like when Kyle was saying that he ultimately knows he was going to have to be the one that helps her, like, move it forward, I think that is extremely relatable as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I think you just, sometimes you can't take that on, like helping your significant other move their idea forward.
Yeah. You know what? That was Kyle's way of pressure testing Amanda. And he was sitting there going, I can't even get you, like, out of bed in the morning. You think I'm going to be the one having to, like, start this business for you. Like, you're going to give me your, like, big dream. And yeah, that's so true. He's like, I can't do both. And then he dropped it's like 6 months into the year and they're 1.5 million in the hole.
That was scary. I don't know why you would say that on TV. Like, everyone can see.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully this season gives them a little boost. So Jenna Lyons, when she was on Real Housewives of New York, launched a eyelash line.
Oh, yeah.
And she said after every episode, the sales of her eyelash line went up, like shot up. It was like a huge business move for her.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping poor Kyle gets some like sales
Kyle.
generation off of this. Like,
yeah, I mean, that was a whole summer ago. So we're all seeing it now, but going into summer, drink Loverboy.
Yeah,
it is good.
Shout out to Loverboy.
Shout out. Oh my God, can they be our sponsor? I really do like them.
All right, so let's move to a different couple, Sierra and Wes. My big question is, do you think that Wes and Sierra are seeing each other during the week? It seems like no.
I know, because it was like when he was gone a weekend, she like ran to him like, I missed you. Like, she legit hadn't seen him in the meantime.
Right. Which is like, if you're not seeing a guy during the week,
yeah,
and you're only seeing him because you're on the show with him at the summer house.
It was just like the Paige and Carl that first summer when Paige was like, you got to take me on a date during the week when we both live in the same city.
Yeah. I felt like that was, part of me was like, oh, maybe they aren't actually dating that much, and Sierra thinks they're closer than what they are.
Because she moves at like a snail's pace. So she's like, we are right on time. This is exactly where we should be. But they did that. This episode, they both started saying boyfriend, girlfriend. Which weirdly was said without at least a prior convo that we saw.
Right.
The word was just used, and I was like, don't people normally discuss, are we boyfriend, girlfriend, before they just start calling?
Just for us, Jessica, just for us.
Yeah.
Everyone else just gets the label. Yeah, who knows? I mean, they're clearly broken up now, so there's no point in, like, dissecting it, but one person I do want to dissect for a hot second is Danielle. She's so odd this season, and Jessica, she was not in any real scenes this episode. She's, like, nowhere to be found. However, when Lindsay's debriefing by the pool, her conversation with Carl, again with Paige, Sierra, and Amanda, Danielle is in the shot because of where her chair is sitting in relation to Lindsay. So I think they had to keep her in this episode because of that critical placement of her pool chair.
They couldn't crop her out.
And Lindsay was saying such a kind of key part of the larger narration that was going on that they had to keep Danielle in. That is my huge thought, my conspiracy theory for this episode.
She got her little appearance credit.
She got her appearance credit.
Hey, note to self, always keep your chair next to like the stars of the show to make sure you're in it.
Speaking of things you didn't see coming, Kyle also, do you remember how he yells out, "I want to be a DJ"?
Oh yeah.
Do you know he's taking DJ classes?
Stop. You see how much like DJ Pauly D is like made after like Jersey Shore days?
I mean, Amanda said it on the after show. She's
Which
like,
shout out, we saw him in Vegas, right?
Oh, right.
Your
yes,
Bachelorette.
Yes.
DJ Pauly D.
Amanda said on the after show though, she's like, no, he's doing that. He's doing DJ lessons. I was like, I thought that was a joke.
But that fight they had, oh, I mean, how painful. Again, speaking of when it's like someone's going to see this, after they had that convo in the kitchen and Kyle storms out, he's like going, F you. And then he calls her a bitch.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
He was calling her, when he was muttering as he was like walking into the backyard, I'm just like, did he give Amanda the heads up he called her that? Or when the episode's airing, is she seeing that her husband is saying F you and you're such a bitch?
They both take it too far on camera. Like, the world thinks their relationship is not good because of what they allow to be said to each other on camera. And Kyle, I do feel like he's got a little Lisa Vanderpump kind of engineering in him, in the sense that there's a couple of things that Kyle does every season that Kyle is doing to just make sure the season is good. I think this fight could be one of them, where he just wants to make sure, like, let's get one last good, argument in with Amanda, and let me throw this weird drink at the wall.
Yeah. And shocker, it's about Loverboy. Like,
right.
it's like always about the company
it's like we
in
don't care
some
anymore.
way.
Yeah.
But the one light moment, Kyle losing his swim trunks on that like sea bob thing, I was dying. And then the fact that he was wearing Sierra's shorts.
Yeah,
and they fit him. I mean, he is a slight man. Like, he has skinny hips.
Okay, anything else on Summer? I feel like
when is that one? I think we only have a few episodes left. I mean,
yeah,
we're getting
but then they pick up cameras. So,
so then we get the breakup.
Yeah, we get the breakup after it, which I'm ready for. I mean, Summer House has...
Show me how it ends.
Yeah.
This whole time we know it's about to end. I need to see how it ends.
Oh, so one thing, just to go, because now we're entering in reunion season. Vanderpump clearly gets a reunion, and clearly they show something weird at the reunion that we're not sure what.
Yep, I know what you're going to say.
Summer House gets a reunion. Valley does not get a reunion.
What the hell?
Is that a rule at Bravo?
Rule for what? If you don't have like the right amount of like ratings?
No, I think it's like the first season never gets a reunion because they don't know how it's going to rate, so they don't want to spend the money putting it on the reunion.
Even all of the established shows, the reunion airs with only like 3 episodes left because they all get to see the end of a season before the reunion. So I feel like they already knew that the Valley was doing well, unless they can't pull together the reunion that quickly.
I don't know.
But like Andy they all live in LA.
Right.
Andy just needs to go to whatever LA soundstage they use for the Vanderpump, the Beverly Hills, the OC, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I heard this on Sheena's podcast that the first episode, or I'm sorry, the first season never gets a reunion. But now that I'm thinking about it, like even
Southern Hospitality. They got like a in the Watch What Happens Live studio.
Right. Most seasons get at least that now.
Yeah. But okay, I was just so pleased to hear season 2 is happening.
Okay.
Because, it could be the kiss of death that you don't get a reunion because they're like, no one cares.
Right. Okay, so now we're going into our segment where Jessica leads us through the hottest Gen Z topic out there.
Oh my God.
We're calling the segment, What Are the Kids Up To? Or What Are the Kids Doing?
You always mess it up. What are the kids up to these days?
These days.
These days. This is just more of a quick hitter, but it cracked me up as I read it. And, Gen Z will find any way to make fun of us millennials. And here's just another quick one that they're now utilizing. They think that it is hilarious, and tell me if you fall into it, because I fully do into the category. I am like so comfortable on my phone. I will online shop. I'll buy clothes. I will make Amazon purchases. I'll buy movie tickets. I'll order food. I cannot make a big purchase on my phone. I have to have a laptop.
Same.
And Gen Zers think we are losers for doing that.
Airplane tickets.
Yeah. Furniture.
Critical emails.
Yes. You're like, this is a laptop situation. I will look into something on my phone, and when I'm ready at the point of purchase, I will open my laptop and make the purchase. I was like, I didn't know this was a generational thing, but oh my God, yes.
It totally is. I literally will say the words in my head. This is a laptop is needed for this.
I mean, the interface, so it's kind of changing now. Some airline tickets I'll do if I'm in the actual airline app, because those apps are sometimes better than their website is on a computer. But some of them, I'm like, you're scrolling around, you're like, did my dates move? Am I booking this Airbnb for the right like weekend? You need a full screen computer.
Anything that requires a credit card payment, I'm usually doing a computer with.
Yeah, but like even in like Amazon, if it's like preloaded,
No.
you won't do that,
I feel like sometimes the screen is so small I'm going to miss what's in my cart.
and then you just return it. The beauty of Amazon, the amount of returns I make.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I've read that before and I think, yep, this is me. I'm never going to change. Okay, now we're going to move into the conspiracy theory segment. So
Do you have a catchy name for it? Or
No, it's just
what the conspiracy theories are doing these days.
what they're up to, the conspiracy theorists. And our listeners were deciding we're going to call them co-conspirators.
Yes. So thank you to all our co-conspirators who listened and texted us and said they enjoyed our pod. This is for you.
This is for you. This segment's for you. So number one conspiracy theory, I think is actually more true. It's not really a theory, and you've probably heard this, Jess, but companies are requiring employees to come back to work in hopes that they actually decide to quit. So they're requiring a return to office because and then they hope that the employees actually quit in returning to office. Like they don't want to have to go in because it's cheaper when an employee quits than when they have to lay off employees because they don't have to pay the severance.
Okay.
So
a struggling company might start enforcing a return to office.
Well, Dell stated that employees who don't choose to fully work remotely won't be eligible for a promotion. So you can tell they're like trying to kind of make people quit. And then Google plans to factor an employee's in-person attendance into their performance evaluation. Now, some news articles out there have picked this up, so it's not really a conspiracy theory, but I think it's a conspiracy to suggest that you think that the companies are actively trying to make people quit. That's a slippery slope.
I hope people fight it.
Conspiracy theory number 2 is a little more out there, but it's one that has been around for a while, but I think is relevant because of the number of alien sightings that Instagram, yes, only Instagram, not TikTok, I'm not on TikTok, but Instagram seems to be
Because we're millennials.
Because we're millennials, Instagram seems to be seeing more and more of, which is something called Project Blue Beam. So Project Blue Beam is a conspiracy theory about supposedly the government is going to create an artificial second coming of aliens. So the purpose of this is to further unite the world under one religion, one government, and to really tone down the kind of anger between different demographics, different nations, try and kind of generate a world pride. Because if aliens are attacking, you don't necessarily care.
We have to band together.
Yeah, you don't care what your enemies are doing. You care about fighting the aliens. So Project Blue Beam is all about that this increase in alien sightings, which seems to be happening now more and more on TikTok and Instagram, is that it's all contrived by the government. So when Project Blue Beam happens, it will feel far more natural. It'll feel like, okay, we saw this coming.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, the government just released kind of this confidential UFO information, I think they did twice in the last 2 years. Now, it's funny with this conspiracy theory because I think normally conspiracy theories are dark, and this one's actually got a happy undertone, which is like, to better unite the world, they're going to create this like invasion, which is so kind of weird to me. But I will tell you, if I have an enemy and the aliens come and they decide to go up first to fight the aliens, I'm going to support that enemy. I'm going to say, go for it.
Well, yeah, what's that saying? Like nothing bands you together more than a common enemy. So if the alien is our common enemy, we're all going to be the human race on Earth.
Do you believe that aliens exist?
I think they have to.
Yeah, I agree.
There's got to be something. There's too many weird things in outer space and the sky and just in life that can't sometimes be explained. Like, how did this X crater get made? You know what I mean? Just weird stuff that gets found in remote places.
Yeah.
But then it always makes me wonder, why does it always fall in a remote place? Why hasn't a big chunk fallen in the city of Chicago? Are the aliens that good at avoiding the highly populated spaces? It's a little too convenient.
Or Jessica, why does every video that tries to capture an alien come
so
out
shaky?
Great.
Well, that would be me trying to zoom in, and I still haven't mastered the new iPhone camera.
Okay, Jessica. Well, it's been great talking to you. And
You
thank you for all of
too.
our listeners listening to our second episode out there. We're going to only get better at dissecting and analyzing your favorite shows. We hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye.